Hi, my name is Samantha Del Rosario, and this is my Week 2 presentation of Principles of Public Administration. Today we're going to talk about 6 concepts, the first one being Wilson's dichotomy. He was former U.S. President Woodrow Wilson. He was the founding father of the study of administration. Wilson's article argues that the increasing complexity of society and the corresponding issue of public policy require administrative guidance. He believed that the administrative government needed to be separate from the political government because administration was mostly with the field of business, therefore it needed to be separated. He believed that when a business was looking for new employees, it was a tedious process where they took the time to look for employees that would better represent the business as a whole, and if we did the same, we would operate efficiently and result in a long-term success. He wanted to see what a government can do and discover in a better manner. Next is Taylor's scientific management. This was created by Frederick W. Taylor. He believed that simplifying jobs and productivity would increase. He wanted managers and workers to be able to cooperate with one another in order to have a successful working environment. Taylor wanted workers to be able to perform their all, so he decided to give them a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. If the worker did not perform well that day, they didn't get paid as much as the worker that performed their all. He developed 4 principles, also known as Taylorism. One was replacing work by rule of thumb, and said we should use this scientific method to study work and determine what is the more efficient way to perform a specific task. Second, where workers should be matched to specific jobs based on their capability and motivation. They should be trained in that field and work maximum efficiency. Next was workers should be monitored on how well their performance is and provide instructions if they seem to struggle in a particular area. And lastly, managers should be able to manage their time appropriately with planning and training in order for workers to perform their tasks efficiently. These principles were created in order for managers to be able to hire the best of the best to help keep their business successful. Next is GOLIC's POSDCORB. This stands for Planning, Organizing, Staffing, Directing, Coordinating, Reporting, and Budgeting. This was created by Luther Golick in 1937. He believed that a manager should only supervise 3 to 6 employees because if they have more than that, it could get overwhelming and they would lose control. Same for employees, that they should only have 1 manager in order to not have any confusion among all staff. The next is Weber's bureaucracy. He wrote The Emergence of Bureaucracy from a more traditional view. He evolved from the traditional structures with the following changes. Organization should follow a hierarchical principle, meaning subordinates follow orders. Jurisdictional areas are clearly specified. Activities are distributed as official duties. Third is intentional. Abstract rules govern decisions and actions. Rules are stable and can be learned while decisions are recorded in permanent files. Next was employment by the organization as a cadre. The official is a full-time employee, and after a trial period, they get a tenure position. Next was means of production or administration belong to the office. Personal property is separated from office property. And lastly, officials are to be selected on the basis of their technical qualifications and compensated by salary. His overall idea was to have a system of power where leaders exercise control over others, where it becomes a system of discipline. Next was Follett's leadership. This was by Mary Parker Follett. She was the mother of modern management. Mary bribes that management was the art of getting things done through people. Although she never managed a for-profit enterprise, she always offered valuable insight on the importance of powering in rather than powering over with employees so they would know how to solve conflicts. As you can see on the screen, there is her famous quote. It reads, "Leadership is not defined by the exercise of power, but the capacity to increase the sense of power among those led. The most essential work of the leader is to create more leaders." She created 4 principles that would help develop theory of management. Direct contact. between employees and managers help organizations follow any conflict and misunderstandings that can occur. Organizing regular meetings or assignments in person is a good way to practice this principle. Second was early stages. This should be learned through coordination right away. No employee should be able to feel less important than the next because each person has an important role. Next was reciprocal relationship, meaning that every worker is responsible for pulling their weight, no matter their level of hierarchy. It's a team effort. And lastly, continuous process is a coordination that must be maintained. Whatever you learn, you need to continue to understand and perform it. Don't let any information go in one ear and out the other. She also created management tactics that include interrogation, power with, and group power. Lastly, we have Simon's bounded rationality. This was created by Herbert Simon. Simon explores the boundaries of human decision making in dynamic environments. He questioned rational decision making in which individuals clearly define the problem, generate an alternative solution, and select the best approach to implement it. He concluded that people only decide rationally in a limited number of situations. Human rationality is limited when information is incomplete, problems are complex, human information processing is limited, time spent on a decision is limited, and decision makers often have conflicting preferences for certain goals. Organizational boundaries therefore allow members to focus on an act without the need to rethink through each action. It is based off 1. Facts that can be verified with data, and 2. Values that come from the mindsets embedded. Simon saw that people were uncertain with their processing entities due to their lack of information. He believed that decision makers need to adopt a more behavioral decision-making process versus a more rational. As you can see on the screen, this is one of his most famous quotes. Human beings viewed as behaving systems are quite simple. The apparent complexity of our behavior over time is largely a reflection of the complexity of the environment in which we find ourselves. That is it for my presentation for week 2. I hope you guys enjoyed.